don't have something. I got you. It's home.
It's still home.
Yes.
Honey. It's still home.
Sorry about that. It's home.
Sorry about you. Sorry about that, you guys.
We were discussing music.
All right, guys. You probably heard our internal conversation before we got started.
Mm-hmm.
My husband's in rare form tonight. I'm glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. Welcome to
On my nose.
You want to go blow?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. All right, guys. We are here live and in color. Pardon us for being human tonight and showing our humanity. But anyway, we're glad you're here. Let's see who came in tonight. Let's see who came in. Let us know if you're hearing and seeing us clearly, please, 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 please. And there's my sissy and my brother-in-law. Sister, I hope you're having a good day at your original job. Hello, Linda Langdon.
Linda Lee.
Our super fan. And there's Pastor Norman.
Norman J.
You know, I don't know if we'll ever be professional, but anyway, you guys love us. I'm so glad.
I am not trying
there
to be
is Dee Dee and George.
George Jr.
and
Jr.
John Greason's in the house.
John
Hey,
J.
Joe. I'm glad you're here tonight.
Joe.
Bran. Hey, Bran.
Brandy.
Thanks, Pastor Norman, for letting me know. Thank you. I want to show you something before we get started. And got a couple of things I want to do, but I know you probably raring to go.
Mm-hmm.
No, not raring to go. Okay, so I want to show you this before we get started. And let's see if I'm going to do that and add it to the string. This is Joseph Campbell. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him or not. He wrote several discourses on the hero's journey. And this particular interview was about consciousness, and it's only like 2 or 3 minutes long, about 2 minutes long. And so I want you to listen up. Make sure that you can let me know if you're hearing it, okay? I want to make sure that you're getting the full effect of it. And here we go.
You talk a lot about consciousness.
Yes.
Most people hear that term and, like me, have only a veiled understanding of it. What is it?
Gene and I are living in Hawaii, and we're living right by the ocean. And we have a little lanai, a little porch. And there's a coconut tree that grows up through the porch and it goes on up. And there's a kind of vine plant, a big powerful thing with leaves like this, that has grown up the coconut tree. Now that plant sends forth little feelers to go out and clutch the plant. And it knows where the plant is and what to do, and where the tree is. And it grows up like this, and it opens a leaf, and that leaf immediately turns to where the sun is. Now, you can't tell me that leaf doesn't know where the sun is going to be. All of the leaves go just like that, what's called heliotropism, turning toward where the sun is. That's a form of consciousness. There is a plant consciousness. There is a animal consciousness. And we share all of these things. You eat certain foods, and the bile knows whether there's something there for it to go to work on. I mean, this whole thing is consciousness. I begin to feel more and more that the whole world is conscious. Certainly the vegetable world is conscious. And when you live in the woods, as I did as a kid, you can see all these different consciousnesses relating to themselves.
Scientists are beginning to talk quite openly about the Gaia principle.
There you are, the whole planet as an organism.
Mother Earth.
And you see, if you will think of ourselves as coming out of the earth rather than as being thrown in here from somewhere else, thrown out of the earth, we are the earth. We are the consciousness of the earth. These are the eyes of the earth. And this is the voice of the earth. What else?
Wow. Wow. I think that was fantastic. Let me know what you think of what you thought of that. It was a really short clip, but I thought it was really, really interesting the way he brought that out, how to show what consciousness really is. And everything has the ability to turn, and it has a divine intelligence. Let me know if you heard that and what did you think of it while we begin to talk. And I had another affirmation. Jill liked it. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Jill. Yeah, it explains so well what consciousness is. Yes. Thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you. So it's important that we all understand that we are the conscious beings in this earth, and like he said, we are the earth. These are the eyes of the earth. This is the mouth of the earth. And what you think about that?
I think it's good. I'd like to hear some more later on.
Yeah, I know it was really short, huh? Yeah, Linda, she said that's good. Love Joe Campbell. He did a lot on mythology. Yeah, he did, and he's worth listening to because he has some interesting points to make about our journey. All of us are on our own hero's journey, and he said every story is written as a hero's journey, and yeah, it's really interesting. So anyway, I wanted to bring that out, and then I wanted to do just a quick meditation with you. I don't know if I'll do all of this though. Not all of this. I want you to, I'm not going to put it on the screen, so I need you to just listen up because you won't be able to read it, but you can listen to it and repeat it after me if you choose to do that. This is a good affirmation. I found it earlier today. So if you would just center in and let's do it. God is the only presence and the only power. God is fully present here with me now. God is the only presence. Everything else is a shadow. God is perfect, good, and God is the cause only of perfect good. God never sends sickness, trouble, accidents, temptation, nor death itself. Nor does God authorize these things. I am divine spirit. I am the child of God. In God I live and move and have my being. So I have no fear. I am surrounded by the peace of God, and all is well. I am not afraid of people. I am not afraid of things. I am not afraid of circumstances. I am not afraid of myself. For God is with me and in me. The peace of God fills my soul, and I have no fear. I dwell in the presence of God. I am not afraid of the past. I am not afraid of the present. I am not afraid for the future. For God is with me and in me. The eternal God is my dwelling place, and underneath are the everlasting arms. Nothing can ever touch me but the direct action of God Himself. And God is love. God is life. I understand that and I express it. God is truth. I understand that and I express it. God is divine love. I understand that and I express it. I send out thoughts of love and peace and healing to the whole universe. Thoughts of love to all the trees and plants and growing things. Thoughts of love and peace to all the beasts and birds and fishes. Thoughts of love and peace and healing to every man, woman, and child on earth, without any distinction. If anyone has ever injured me or done me any kind of harm, I fully and freely forgive them now. And the thing is done forever. I loose them and let them go. I am free and they are free. If there is any burden of resentment in me, I cast it upon the Christ within and I go free. God is infinite wisdom, and that wisdom is mine. That wisdom leads and guides me. Christ in me is a lamp unto my feet. God is infinite life, and that life is my supply. So I shall want for nothing. God created me, and He sustains me. Divine love is overseeing and foreseeing everything and provided for everything. One mind, one power, one principle, one God, one law, one element. Closer is He than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. I am divine spirit, the child of God, and in the presence of God I dwell forever. I thank God for perfect harmony. And so it is. And so it is. I thought that was a really, really good, well-balanced affirmation for us tonight. And I hope you got something out of it. So now what you got on your plate, Mr. Sawyer?
Hope, believing, waiting, in the area of waking up, finding out that we're infinite, eternal, is beyond anything that you can ask for, seek, apply for, study, pray for, consider to be an emergency, or anything like that, does not outweigh the fact that you are made out of everything already that you're looking to get and to receive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is a pill to swallow only by insight, revelation, knowing, and factuality, in spite of character flaws, chaos, disturbance, death, dying, going and coming, finding it, reading it, publishing it, broadcasting it, saying what others say just to get on their good side, that will not outweigh the fact that you are in your eternal self, with or without church preaching or agreeing arguments. You cannot stop this, change this.
Yeah.
Lying, stealing, murder, going to hell does not stop this reality of being eternal. Eternal, whether you good or bad, is always remain. We don't grow in it. We don't bargain for it. We don't try to talk God's favor. It is the absolute identity of all of us coming, or it is really not something that comes. But I make a statement like this: coming from God is Himself coming from Himself.
Yes.
And we're not. It's not a play of words. It's not trying to convince you that I know something that you don't, which is ridiculous. I'm not trying to get on anybody's side. I'm not trying to be a good speaker, a good spokesman for God. I'm not trying to be a good soul winner. I could care less now. Once upon a time, there was something that seemed to be priority, importance in that.
Mm-hmm.
But after this happened, of me finding out who Jesus really was, who Christ really was, and investigating into the what you call not the functions of the Christ, but the actual reality of the in-depthness of what it really mean to be beingness. No growth, no process, pure identity. Man, that knocked the ball out the park for me. I mean, it just knocked all the wind out of the airbag. It's kind of like having an eternal life contract for service without paying anything, but yet there is a pay. And the pay is, I used to think the pay was, we were supposed to pay the price. Mm-hmm. But then I find out when you look at the turnaround, there's no us to pay anything, because He is the sum total of all of us. It's not favor with God. And some of them say, well, saw you this and you that because you got special corner with God. Don't even try. Go play in traffic, because it don't work. It don't work.
What you discovered was
what a relax.
We discovered the play of God.
Yes, sir.
And,
yes, ma'am.
And realized, after really investigating and discovering, the actuality is that God is playing all parts.
I like that hedgehog. What do you call it?
The Sonic Hedgehog. God is playing all parts, and not only is God playing all parts, but God has set up the play.
That cat can go so fast.
Yeah. God has actually set up the whole story,
Yeah, he can
and
hit a ball.
it's set up so that
Mhm.
others would discover, and we would discover who God is. Now, I've got here on my note, I just happened to look at it, and I didn't intend to look at it, but it said
Mhm.
you won't really know God until you're willing to let go of what you already know about
Let me show you about that. I kept wondering, how can I let go if I need to let go of everything?
God.
What is the key to letting go?
Because sometimes you struggle to let go.
Okay. Then I ask the question again. What is that that's struggling to not let go? Watch this now.
Or to let go.
Or to let go.
Mhm.
Here it is.
Yeah.
It's God.
It is. It's still God.
It's playing the game like it's you independently struggling. It's playing the game like
Mhm.
you can change. But if I can do it out of the false self, it carries no weight. My bucket got a hole in it and it won't hold no water.
Okay.
I'm shaking my glass without a top on it.
Mhm.
And all you're gonna do is blow your top if you do put one on there, because trying don't get it.
No, it doesn't. The effort.
Let me tell
Effort.
you,
But you can't avoid use putting forth effort, because that's what we humans do.
okay. All right, can I talk to that?
Yeah, talk to it.
You
Yeah.
can't avoid that to me now.
Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
Trying to avoid, you can't do that either. That's him.
Yeah, you really can't.
What I'm saying to you guys, and you probably know this. I say, well, what in the ham sandwich with a bad piece of tomato on it can I do? He said, nothing, because it ain't no nothing to you. It ain't no you there. I say, wow, the life that we now live is the life of somebody else,
And that somebody else is who we truly are.
the Christ.
But we
Boy, I'm gonna tell you, to me, that's like trying to carry 50 pounds 100 miles without stopping, and you know good well you can't do that. I saw, and you heard me talk about a sage and a mentor was coming. A student, I'm sorry, a student was coming into a town, and the roads was really muddy, and they didn't pay no attention. They walked through the mud, going where they on their destination. And the young man looked over at the lady that was standing on the porch, and she wanted to cross the street back in the Western days, and she couldn't get across the street, pretty dress and shoes, without getting muddy. The young man stopped and picked her up and said, "Ma'am, I don't mean no, because I can carry you across, and you won't have to mess up your dress and your shoes." He did that. But as he went on down the road with the sage, he kept repeating the thing over and over again in his
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
And he questioned the sage, "Why am I going over there?" He said, "That is your monkey mind or your false identity trying to repeat over and over again something that's already been done."
But he actually said this. He said, "You put her down hours ago.
Yeah,
Why
that's
why
right.
you're still carrying her?"
That's right. That's
Mhm.
right. So that keeps going over and over again. That's the one that wants to think that it can do something
Yeah.
to change
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Please,
Yeah.
there seemed to be a chameleon in this thing that identifies itself as doing something
Hmm.
like it's really God doing it, when it's really nobody like that to do it but him.
So and then I don't know. I'm trying to. I'm gonna say it this way. I'll
Yeah,
say
go
it this
ahead.
way. There is a doing, but the doer is not me. And the doer does without my consent, the me's consent. That's bad English, but the me's consent. It doesn't need the consent of the me. And as I acknowledge that, in my day-to-day activities, I find that the doer just does what needs to be done and uses the meat suit.
Oh yeah, meat suit.
Uses the meat suit
Mhm.
to get it done.
Mhm.
And there's not a lot of effort, mental effort, premeditation. I need to do this. I mean, I've catch myself. My sister put this, brought it to my attention because we both noticed that we do this, and this is something that she pointed out to me. When she spent the weekend with me one time, she said, "Do you realize you say I've got to and I need to all day long?"
Mhm.
Because the mind is constantly thinking what it must do before it does it.
Mhm.
That's not the doer. That's not the doer you're talking about. That one is the one that's trying to be the doer. That's where all of the effort comes from.
I'm
and
going.
wears itself out.
Mhm.
Just thinking about
and really,
just
to
thinking
wear,
about what it
to
has
wear
to do.
itself out is exactly what it taking place.
Yeah.
I want to fly from here to California, but I haven't figured out a way as to how I can fly that plane along with the pilot.
Mhm.
So I'm going to wrestle with this thing, but I still got to get on that plane. So I'm going to sit down there on that plane, and the whole time I'm on that plane,
I'm going to try to figure
I'm
it
going
out.
to try to figure it out
Mhm.
and try to fly this thing with the pilot.
And be absolutely worn
Miserable
out.
and wore out. That's
yes,
right.
Yes. Yes.
VIA, fly together VIA, along with
Yeah.
the necessary thing that it needs to be done, such as the sower sowing the seed, and God adds the increase.
So the figuring out is this false doer that's constantly putting forth effort. You used to preach a sermon years ago about effortless effort.
Yeah, effortless effort.
Effortless.
There's a soul down through the center of the being.
Yeah.
There's an effortless effort,
Yes.
the solar plex
Yes.
area. Now, God, I'm beginning to see the expanding. God is the me that goes to the counter that gets the ticket. God is the counter person. What do you call him behind
the cashier?
The cashier or whoever it is that helps me get the ticket. That's him.
Yeah.
When I pick the luggage up and put it on the belt, God is the belt. God is the luggage. God is the one that picks it up and put it on there. And God is the one that walks through the security system. God is the one that checked the person that's going through. Yeah. God is the one that sits down in the chair and wait for the call of the flight that you're going to take. And he flies the plane. He is the plane. Now, you got, I don't know what to say. It's almost like a case is settled. Finally settled.
Yes. And I think that's why we continue to talk about this, because it has to be settled.
And then somebody come on and say, I don't have to do nothing. God gonna do it. And I'm gonna sit there in a chair. I ain't gonna do it. God gonna do it because he told me that he do everything. Okay. But then you're making God become the passivity. You're making him become the one that ain't gonna do nothing.
Well, this is the thing. All we have to do is be. So if you want to be that, then be that.
And there's no resistance to the presence and the power of beingness to go against that.
You won't have much happening in your life, but I mean, you'll be living by default.
It's like saying God won't have much action in his life. He won't have much to do because he decided not to be anything else.
But you also kind of instilled in those of us who've been listening to you for years as being our pastor, you instilled in us the sensitivity of following. I'm going to say it like this: following Jesus, following God, following the Holy Spirit, in the sense that whenever you have an urge or have the slightest thought, an urge to pray, do it. If you have the slightest urge to get still and in a place alone, do it. If you have the slightest urge to read and spend some time in that, do it. Whatever the urge is, no matter how slight it is, follow it. Follow it. And in doing that, you'll find that there's a lot of things you really do want to do, but your mind doesn't want to do it.
And so the mind don't want to submit. That's okay.
Right,
It don't change a thing about your beingness.
right.
But here's what I found out.
Sometimes the mind will say, I don't want to hear all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that today.
I found out what it means to hear it's okay. This is the mystery. I'm going to say it. I've said it before. In the area of the time zone, hell and everybody that's in that place, and I may not be good at saying this, that don't mean that you there's no repercussions,
Right. Consequences.
consequences.
Yeah.
But all of that will not stop the beingness of your God identity to the degree that every one of us eventually, if there's an end to this thing or a beginning, change. We're coming out of hell.
Yes.
That don't mean you to go do more hell so you can get out of hell.
And actually, what's happening to us, in actuality, it is an emerging out of that darkness of hell.
Doing all the hell and trying to get out of hell. And then when you get out, you say, what the hell? So you get on, well, you created that. So that's what you're going, and to create that is your godly power. And to get out of it is still the power of God.
It is.
So, it's almost like a vacation from the foolishness.
Well, it gives the mind a vacation
It does.
if it'll take it.
Yeah. Sometimes the stubborn, it'll say, I just don't believe that stuff. The word of God says you're going to have to accept. Yeah, right. Go ahead. Wear yourself out.
John Greason says, I watched Equalizer 2 last night.
Mm.
When Denzel sat down to reenact the crime scene, he put himself in the situation.
Go ahead, John. Tell me some more. I want to get more. I thought you was quick. Don't throw on brakes in traffic doing 100 miles an hour.
What's your thoughts, John? Come on, give us more.
John, you throw on brakes and busted the tires and everything and stopped and all the traffic piled up on the back of you. Give me some more of that. I mean, go ahead.
Man of the Universe said, God helps those who help themselves. John,
You know
Man
that's
of the Universe, I'm going to tell you, Laverne's my right hand when it comes to the business of the church. We got this saying, God helps babies and fools. And I told her, I said, we're no babies. So, and it's true. He helps babies and fools. We've learned that over and over. And then we've also learned that some of the situations were not resolved until the two of us came together and discovered the solution. And it took both of us to do it.
And you know what? I saw you discover God. I remember 50-some years ago, it was said to me, I was looking for Jesus, and I kept wondering, why am I looking for God if he's inside
me? And I still feel like I don't know. He's not here, and I don't know him, and I'm disconnected. And
I mean, all this is inside of us. And here we are going to spend the rest of our days seeking God, who is already
in
is.
us and as us.
It's kind of like we say, is he or is he ain't?
Yeah.
Now we took the deep breath. We breathe inhale. And at the end of that inhalation, breathing, it comes to a stop, die, and just that quick, let the air out, and the minute it stopped, die, and we come back alive again, just that quick.
But that is a process that's often used in spiritual things.
Yeah.
Because in order for you to take another breath in, the one you just took in has to be expelled. It has to go out. So there are times in your life when things will be disrupted deliberately. God will allow, the Spirit will allow the disruption of it so that it can be removed from your space, and for you to be able to receive whatever else is your higher good to come to you. So that happens a lot.
There was a young man I ran into today at the Jeep service department.
Yeah, we had just talked about his parents.
Yeah, where is Joe
Miller? We had just talked about his parents. His mom and dad are pastors in Winston, have been longtime pastors and friends of ours, the Millers, and their son took over the church.
And I used to work with his daddy.
Yeah, we were just talking about them, and then you went to get your Jeep inspected, and
I,
there he was,
the
young man that took over the church.
And he come in the door, and when he came in the door, he looked at me.
Yes.
He looked at me, and I said, "You look at me the same way Jesus looked at me and us." And I told him, "This is what God revealed to me, that you are him looking at himself, talking back to himself." Yeah. Man, I like that. Yes. And you know, we sit there and we talked a good while to the service manager came in and said my Jeep was ready to go. And he walked with me out to the Jeep, and another guy was putting it in place for me. Let me tell you something. I enjoyed that. And I told Joe about coming online with us tonight, but I gave him my phone number and everything. And I knew him from way back when he's a little boy. Well, he ain't really been little, he's been a big boy, but he's been young. And he took over his daddy's church.
We saw him go through so many different phases.
Yes, we did.
Of his life. And before he even married, and when he was really heavy and had the bariatric surgery and all of that, he was a young man that followed his father and faithfully supported the faithfully.
The greatest, one of the greatest manifestations. I know Christ with everybody in the service department, in the store, in the place, but he manifested himself in Joe this morning. And I sat there this afternoon and I talked to him with a graciousness. I told him, I said, "Give me a call. We'll get together." I said, "I've been thinking about a church I want to go to." So
you've been wanting to go to church lately.
But the only thing is, he said his service started at 10 and we online at 10.
On. Now, John Drees is coming back. He said he watched Equalizer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then he's watched Denzel put himself in the situation.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
All right. Then he said it rang a bell with him. Meditation and tongues.
Yeah.
Focusing on who we are. Yes. Yeah. And then he apologized for the delay because he's probably typing like you. He said, he said, "Don't know how much I can type at one time. Don't want to be cut off from live chat."
Oh, no.
You won't be cut off.
Let me tell you. I said, John. Let me tell you, man.
If you type like he does, he types with one finger. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, yeah.
But he's pretty fast at it now. He's gotten better with it.
Yeah.
Because you know where all the letters are.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right, John, about the meditation and tongues. And when we used to practice that, and we were taught to practice that, and it builds a sensitivity in you to those slight urges that come up often during the day. If you don't, and it's easy to override them with a busy mind. It's easy to override them with restlessness, boredom. It's easy to override those things. And then later on, you realize I should have done it then. Yeah.
There was a man in the restaurant. I'm standing there in line waiting. I looked at him. I walked up to him. I said, "Can I tell you something?" He said, "Yeah, is it good?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Down look in your eyes. I can see Jesus looking out of your eyes." I said, "Jesus' eyes is the same color of everybody's eyes in the universe." Then I looked around this week, and a man on television had a near-death experience, wasn't expecting it, and he said the same identical thing. Please listen. I want to say, I say this from the ewings of beingness of my heart. I say this. It is absolutely awesome. Talk this kind of stuff. It goes out into my ears or your ears. It circulates down through the inner essence of the beings the beingness of your God self without any blowing up, feeling like you're special, feeling like God gave you something that He didn't give everybody else. I'll say it like this: up your nose with a rubber hose, go get your 50-foot water hose and 50 golf balls and suck every last one of them through the end of it. You can't get it like this. It's just so what is it? You start. Huh? I went off there, didn't I?
You go in your world and you come up with these sayings. Holy moly!
I'm tearing it up, brother Joe. Hey, brother, both of you.
Why you want to keep saying Joe?
I keep saying brother Joe and Joe.
Joe and John.
John, man, and then these Joes got a J like Jesus,
John says, "Of course we type one finger at a time. Must be the same
Yeah.
birthday month."
That's right. That finger.
That's why it's got trigger finger too. That's why it got a trigger finger.
So free. It's doing better now. You don't lock up now. I put some tape around it like it's been broke, and I'll just
I know
keep it still. As long as I keep it still, brother John.
I looked at it the other day. He had wrapped it up almost like duct tape. I don't know what you had.
I use that as medical tape. I'm gonna wrap it up again before I get through here. I am determined to have fun because it is great.
Listen. Carolyn said, "Hey, Carolyn." She says, "Is it the ego trying to dominate rather than the mind?"
Yes.
And the ego is the mind, sweetheart.
Yes. That's where the chaos comes from.
Mm-hmm. But the mind is not evil.
No.
It's doing what it was intended
Designed
to do. And I've often said it's there to evaluate, it's there to assess, it's there to interpret, and it's here to help us navigate in this sensual world. But when it micromanages, it is then the ego.
I used to think that if I wanted the gifts of the Spirit in 1 Corinthians 12 to operate through me, that I had to fast and pray and seek God and wait for somebody to come.
You thought there was a lot you had to do,
yeah.
Right?
When I found out that all these potentials was what the Spirit part of me was, all I needed to do by grace, unmerited favor, was find out the functions of these things. And when I found it out by grace, I found out that I was already doing some of these things.
They came natural. Yeah, they came natural. In fact,
somebody fan me with a brick.
In fact, I was reading this to him the other night, and I'm not going to read it all, but
okay, help yourself.
This is see if I can find it. I miss things when I don't come back to it. I've looked at this. We've had this book forever. It was written, I don't know when, but it's called Meditation in the Bible, and it is coming from the Ezekiel's vision of the wheel and the wheels and the four-faced creature. They're facing each direction. And it talks about the phases that prophets have to go through in order to reach that mystical state. And that's what we're talking about, that mystical state. And it said that there were mantras in order to bring a person to the mystical state. And this is written from a Jewish perspective, where the way they taught in their mystery schools, and they taught them how to go into that prophetic area, but they used mantras. And so when you talked about, and John talked about the praying in tongues or whatever, then that's what you taught us to do, to pray in the Spirit, not like your average Pentecostal that just flaps their tongue, but to actually use it as a technique. Deliberate technique.
We call it, in baby talk, it's called cooing.
Yeah. And it's a deliberate technique where you actually slow your whole being down and you drag the mind into it.
Yeah.
until it submits.
I decided to speak and cool into it, intuitive experience
Yeah.
with God, because I found out that is one of the basic ways that He communicates with us, through intuition. But the real, actual way He talked to me when I see Him is knowing. It's a revelatory. My tongue getting kind of.
Are you tongue tied?
Yeah, I'm trying to say what I'm trying to say is what is impossible to say.
Well, let me say this while you're getting your tongue untied.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about the phases that a person goes through in order to reach that mystical state, and he talked about it as from the position of a prophet. And he says that the first phase that the prophet has to overcome is the natural agitation of the mind.
Ooh, I need to write that down.
Natural agitation of the
Natural
mind.
agitation.
And it is even greatly exaggerated when that person reaches a high meditative state.
Mm-hmm.
So the first phase that a person must go through in order to reach that mystical state is the agitation of the mind. And most people don't even know how to practice that.
That's right.
Especially in the Christian church, they're not taught how to escape the mind, how to transcend the mind. They're not taught to ignore the mind, but they're taught to try to develop mind, redevelop the mind, and recondition the mind, and use the mind. And that doesn't help them get into that mystical state at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second phase, it talks about it as a cloud, that where the mind becomes very opaque, where nothing is seen or experienced. It's like we call it a dry spell.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's happening at all. And it's like everything shuts down. And the prophet tries to ascend, and he finds himself facing a barrier beyond which he cannot see. He must work and strive to penetrate this cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So there are phases, or I should say challenges, that you will face to get into this place of mysticism, where you can actually see what we're talking about and not just hear it and retain it mentally.
While I was standing in the waiting room today at the Chrysler place, the service manager come in and said, "Reb," said, "how do you want to pay, cash or by card?" I was hesitant between cash and card, and I said, "Cash." Okay. When I went to the window, it said, "Knock on the window and somebody will come and help you." I gave the lady the $30 for the inspection, and I could sense somebody else paying this for me, but it was the Christ consciousness that was using conscious materiality to pay. And I saw it. It's like I was outside looking at it, and I watched it take place. And I told the lady, I said, "You don't look much different now than the first time I saw you." I said, "I hadn't seen you in a long time, but you ain't changed a bit," which is, you could say that. Yeah, but I didn't want to. When I found out how, by the grace of God, to use the love that I am as infinite, to love everything that my conditioned self don't want to love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It taught me how to use the gas in the tank without going back there in the back trying to dip it out and then pour it in there to see if it's in there to be used. I'm not constantly pulling the lines loose from the carburetor and the fuel injection to see if anything coming through. I just enter into that rest of knowing that this is a reality wake up moment, that Jesus Christ, the Christ that he is,
Mm.
all of us is. I can't say this enough. It is so staggering.
Listen, Linda's got a good
Okay.
comment. She says, "Now and forever, know that no rituals are required to realize or become what you already are.
Yes.
What you are will do its own thing in its own time.
Talk to me, girl.
There is no person to awaken." Thank you very much,
Talk
Linda.
to me.
Thank you, young lady.
Oh,
Yes.
hold me close and whisper sweet
Bring us
whispers into
all the
our
way
ears.
home, Linda. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, sweetheart. Because
Bring me on home to the home base.
some of us are so tired
Yes.
of trying
Yes.
to become.
Yes.
And it's not necessary. As she said, we already are that.
That's right.
We already are that. That's so good, Linda. Thank you.
Okay, here we go again. Some of us come here to become soul communications, or the soul communicator.
Mm-hmm.
We come to be the gifted seers, or talk to others about the other side, to override the conditioned fear of departure from the physical anatomy. Some of us come here to meet and tell others about what happened to us when we crossed over. We come back and tell them what happens when you go over. We choose the kind of test over here that will cause us or others to see their full scripts.
That's what we were saying on Sunday when I
Yeah.
said Laverne and I got that because the season that she's been in, it's been very challenging for her. And she said, I want to learn this lesson and learn it quick so it can be over. And which I think all of us have found ourselves in that place at some point, maybe not to the degree that she has, but what she's been through and what all of us have been through in that sense was there so that others could see when someone has absolutely surrendered and has been given the grace to walk in that, transcending what it looks like, and it helps them.
Let me heal you. The surrender that is surrendered
Mm-hmm.
is a God quota. Take a deep breath and sit back in your Cadillac Grace recliner, hot dog, and rear back on your thumbs and let your good time roll.
What?
Because you are in a position to see God through, in, and by his person, his beingness. Surrender this thing in your form.
Rear back on your thumbs?
Rear back on your thumb and tighten up on your wig.
Oh.
Rear back on your thumb, tighten up on your wig, and strap on your corset, because God is really doing a thing in your life that make it so easy. On Sunday morning.
Now, see, Jill says she fully understands being tired and trying to arrive.
Yeah.
It is exhausting. It is very exhausting. And what you'll find, Jill, is people who have brilliant intellects, such as yourself, tend to have to use that intellect so often till it's hard to shut the inertia down.
It is.
Mm-hmm. And you can't shut the inertia down, but you can distance yourself from it. And that's the part that you have to practice.
Let me grace you to see the grace of God, Miss Jill. Love to hear this and know this about intelligence.
Mm.
Watch this. It's God.
It is. It is.
It's God. And the more you try to overcome it, the aggravation sets itself
Yeah.
in. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Accept that about yourself. Accept it.
I went in a room one time for a conference with a near-death forum in Durham, North Carolina,
Mhm.
and I heard when I went into place, yes,
Yes. And that's when I wrote that poem of the gentle folk. The gentle folk. And there was a resounding yes in the room.
we came here.
And it was the first time, and I have to say this, when we went to the Near Death Forum, it was a chapter we went to in Raleigh, or
Durham.
one of them,
Mhm.
and walked in the room. It was a small room, a little small conference room with
Library with it.
yeah, with people who had most of them had near death experiences,
Mhm.
and then there was one who had studied it to the degree that he's written books and things like that. So when we
Mhm.
walked in, it was the first time, and this is honest truth. It was the first time that I had been in a setting that was spiritual, that had absolutely no judgment.
That's right.
There was nothing pulling on me to act a certain way. There was nothing that had, not that I was hiding anything, but it was nothing that I couldn't expose.
Mm.
It was so soft. That was the you explained it as a yes, and I felt it as it was such a soft, no judgment zone. And I realized then, even in the Christian settings that we had, where we really had these magnificent services with the presence of God, even in those settings, I had never experienced a no judgment zone, where nobody was judging me, no matter what I lived like, looked like, acted like. They were not judging me.
Joseph's brothers, because of envy, threw him into a pit.
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes somebody along and got him out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The one that threw him in did not know that chaos was
It was the play of God.
the play of God
Mm-hmm.
to show him what God looked like, pulling himself out.
And for God to elevate him.
There is
Yes.
not anything that can hold you back.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be able to see this without going through it, without seeing it, because once you see it and you're going through something like this, or Christ in you as you're going through it, you can take a deep breath, and it makes your 40 years
feel like 40
feel
days.
like 40 days.
Or your 40 days feel like 40 hours.
40 hours, and then 40 hours feel like
40 minutes.
40 minutes, and then 40 minutes feel like 40 seconds.
Yes.
You know I like you. You know I like you. Look at you, girl. Look at you.
You really accomplished something, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
You stink. You know you stink. You stink real good. Oh, I can smell you now, girl. You smell like the smell of the aroma of the rose of Sharon.
Oh, my Lordy.
Okay.
You
We
right?
all came here to be a tool for each other. Evolution. That is why some of us can remember and select friends and families that helped us walk out
our blueprint.
Mm-hmm. And what is so amazing about this,
Mm-hmm.
the deja vu, the memory, is that as you get older in this age thing, the deja vu gets stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And as the deja vu gets stronger, you'll be walking up to somebody and say, I remember you in heaven, in that place of oneness. And you and I discussed this. That's what I told Joe today. We discussed all of this.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Well, folks, we've been here an hour, and it is now time for us to move forward. Look,
Yes,
we're going to have our Zoom on Friday. Our Q&A is going to be at 7.
Okay.
And I didn't check to see how many of you had registered, but I got quite a few emails showing me that you guys had registered. So I know we're going to have a pretty good crowd. Here is the link in the comment section. If you haven't already done it, you can click that link and go right to the and register tonight. Or I think I put it on Facebook as well. I did. I put it on Facebook as well. You can do it there, so that you can be with us on Friday, and hopefully you can make it. The Q&A doesn't have a theme per se, but we wanted to kind of leave it open so that you could bring your own questions. And it doesn't have to be specific questions, but it can be whatever it is that you feel like you want discussed. But I don't want us to discuss too broad of a term things but we want to kind of, I would like to get questions from you before the session. If you could send me that as an email, that would be great. Or what topic you would like to have discussed. That kind of gives us some direction. I'm going to try to make sure that it's structured well enough that it will be beneficial for you. It will not just be a fellowship where we see each other and say, oh, hey, it won't be like that. We will do that in the beginning, but that won't be what it's for. Hopefully there'll be some ministry. Pastor will probably, when he sees you, want to do some ministry. But we're going to do the Q&A. The Q&A is specifically for you to talk and tell us what it is that you would like to have addressed. And it will probably be time contingent. You wouldn't have to hold the whole session.
And if I can't answer, we just say, well, I
if
don't
we
know.
cannot, we'll say we'll research it, or we can't do that. We'll let someone else. And by the way, there may be things that you want to say directly to us, and so it'll be good. It'll be very good. So I am glad that you all have, majority of you have already registered. So if you would we look forward to seeing you on Friday night for the Q&A. So in the meantime, we'll be back again on Thursday for the impromptu, won't we?
Yep.
Pastor Norma won't be with us. You rear back on your thumbs.
And then my backbone shake.
Your backbone shake?
Yeah.
There's something in there. There's something in there.
Finna explode too.
Thank you, Linda. We love you, darling.
We love you all, love everybody.
And Jill's already posted how to give as well. And I
Thank
know
you
you
for the
guys
gifts.
know, and you've already been blessing. I thank you for that. In fact, we've been getting quite a few new subscribers on YouTube.
Sure have.
And several people there, and I don't know if this young man's watching now, but his name is El Sinuseret. I hope I'm saying his name right. He's a new follower, and he donated to Cornerstone on Sunday and sent us a little something in a Cash App. And he's already registered for the Friday night Q&A. So, hey, it's working. It's working.
Yeah, we thank the Lord.
And I'm glad it's reaching people. So by my saying that, make sure you hit the like button. Hit the like button. Move us up in the algorithm so people can find us.
Yep.
Oliver told me the other day that we were all over social media. I don't know how, but he said we're all over social media. And I know that more people are watching us. They just don't say anything.
Hello.
But we thank you guys. Even those of you who are not commenting, we thank you for tuning in to us. And some people are not seeing the lives. They're catching the replays. And they're going to YouTube and watching, and some are on Facebook watching. And it's good. It's working. So I'm glad we're reaching people that we never would have reached before. That's a good thing. And I'm glad that you guys are receptive and it's resonating with you. And we love your comments. We love your comments and your questions. We thank you for coming to see us tonight. Okay. And we're going to take off. You going to take off?
Hit the road, Jack.
Hit the road, Jack. Rear back on your thumbs.
Yeah, let your backbone shake.
Rear back on your thumbs.
Thank you so much.
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
Rear back on your thumbs?
Mm-hmm. I'll let your backbone shake.
Is that right?
Tie your wigs down tight,
Oh Lord, you're just making up stuff now.
because there's gonna be a whole lot of shaking going on.
Oh my God. We'll see you later. Bye.